And I was so excited that I dropped a plate. And so now we have 7 plates instead of 8. This was the first gift that ever went viral for me. And it was of a game called Warcube. I had no name then. And this racked up, I think at the time, it was probably about 600,000 views online, which was like mind blowing to me, And so most of the time when it comes to posting GIFs online, you can kind of not be precious with it. You can have 10 of them and you can just put them all up at different times and hopefully one hits. And if not, you can react to that. That game eventually became this, Warcube. What is Warcube? It's an action-adventure game. You play as a cube. It launched in early access in 2017. Just shy of 30K copies sold. So not bad, not great, but enough to be sustainable for a period of time. I created everything except the music because music is still magic to me. And it's still in development because it's early access, and why not? I'll let you guys watch the trailer on your own. I've got some GIFs that showed off quite well. But this is what it started as. This is Warcube as a baby, just so you can kind of see what things start as to what they become as a baby. This is it as a bigger baby. And this is it as an even bigger baby. And of course, the game just grows, as everybody knows. So why I'm actually here. I'm going to talk about marketing first game development. I'm going to call it MF. Marketing first is not. It is not asset flipping. It is not. It is not meme or joke games. These sort of games that just get thrown up. We've all seen them on Steam, and they've been blowing up everywhere. And it's also not hentai. I know this is huge. It just isn't. It's just not. But what it is, what marketing first games is, it is an early validation of concepts. If you have a good idea, you will find out quite quickly. It's also very low risk and high reward. It doesn't take as much effort on your part to create, but the reward is that you're able to literally find out if you have a hit on your hands, or even just gauge it, whether it would be something sustainable or not. And what it also is it is hentai. I'm just kidding. I'm trying to figure out how many hentai jokes I can fit in one presentation. But really, it's a confidence boost, because when you do marketing first, what you'll find is, we've all been there in development. You just get tired, and those days when you're like, oh, I don't really want to work on this right now. What the encouraging thing is you can look back at this and you can know that, one, people have liked your game. They've liked what they've seen. That they would potentially buy it, that you have an audience, that you have potential fans. And that's probably what I have found to be the most encouraging part about game development, is when you can look back at that, during a boring period, like say you're, whatever is boring to you, whether it's UI or I don't know, whatever is boring to you, you can look back and say, yeah, man, you remember when I shared that thing online way in the beginning and people liked it? It gives you a lot of confidence and motivation to keep working. So I'll tell you the goals of marketing first development. Marketing first development it's all about validating your concept. Like I said, you want to find out whether your idea is good or bad as fast as possible with as little amount of effort as needed. And to find your audience, real humans who are online, scrolling, clicking, buying things. You will find them. And it keeps you flexible and learning. Lots of the times, people wait for an excuse to try to learn something. And what this allows you to do is, say you've always wanted to make a game using some sort of mechanic, it's kind of like, it's almost like giving yourself a game jam. And it also stops you from wasting your time because, we all know someone, and, I guess they're working on their dream game, for 5 or 6 years, and I don't know, maybe they're in this room. Maybe they're streaming this or watching it. Maybe it's you. Maybe you've been watching and making your game for 6 years because it's your dream game and you think it's going to sell wonderful, but you've shown nobody. I would just tell you, like, this is so risky. Don't do that. Do not do that. Try to share your stuff as early as possible. And that's my PSA. That is my only PSA in this whole thing is one, don't work on games for 6 years unless they are good, unless you know they are good. That is a long time. Because ultimately, marketing first is all about finding a direction to go and a reason to do it, something to give you momentum to bounce off of. And knowing that people will buy or play your game is a huge motivation to most people. So, of course, I'm going to show you a real life example for one of my concepts, because I think it's a lot more helpful. And I am not Latvian, but I'm a bit of an adopted Latvian from my friends, and so I have learned, that this may resonate with some of you. This game will be about a simple potato, and that is the concept is called Spud Wars, and so now you could see one of these projects that I have attempted to try to validate online in this way. Uh, it's called Spud Wars. It's a tactical first-person shooter with voxel trenches where you play as a potato. Um, and I'll let the GIF play through a couple times. And like most of the time, like this was made in a day and a half. Like it's quite quick. It's a bit of kind of mashing things together. But so for Spud Wars, you might be asking, okay, so I have this concept. What do I do? So we're going to use Spud Wars as an example. And the first thing you do, of course, is have an idea. And I believe there's 4 kinds of key ideas when people come up with them, right? The first one is premise, like, oh, what if we were all potatoes and we like fought in the trenches, and like, I call this the premise idea. And it mostly involves beer or alcohol, it's commonly what we talk about when we say, oh, I have an idea. I have a cool idea. We're talking about these sort of premises. The second type of idea is a small interest idea. These are, this is like, potatoes are so interesting. I wonder how they roll with physics. Like we all have friends like this, right? They're obsessed with the way that doorknobs open up, or some very small element of life that they really want to explore. The third type of idea, small element. Third idea is learning. This is the person who says, I just want to learn how to create a potato. That's all I want. I have no other expectations. Just want to learn how to make a potato. And this is for when you just want to learn how to do the thing, whether that's like a plugin you want to learn, or a mechanic, or just, you see somebody else do something online and you're like, I want to do that. This is that type of idea. And of course, the fourth one is a game jam. Make your game with 100% potato. You have 48 hours, go. This is always a good motivation to come up with an idea. And game jams usually use one of the other ideas, but the good part about them is they give you a direction and a reason from the beginning. So Spud Wars was very much idea number 1. It was a premise. I was like, potatoes are underground. Trenches are kind of underground. Like, I want to make a game with that. And that's as much as it started with. So step number 2 is make part of your game. And here's an example. I love these sort of like, we've all seen stuff on like Instagram or online where it's all beautiful, but then you see these behind the scenes and you're like, what? Like, that's all that photo is? It's just like some glass with water and she's standing, it's just a road. Like, it's nothing complex, but it looks like it is online. So the way to do this is take your concept and write down the unique parts of the game, like the things that are just genuinely unique, or that you feel are critical for people to understand about your game before they would ever even buy it or something. Step 2 is figure out what you need to make or to show those parts. This might be features. This might be assets. Like for me, it was very much like, I need a musket and I need like a potato model and maybe something for trenches. Like, figure out what you need to be able to at least show it a little bit. And step 3 is make just enough of your game to show these parts. This is not the full game loop. You're not building a demo to send to all your friends and get their opinion on. You're strictly building for GIFs. You're building for a small moment of time that somebody's going to see online for just a couple seconds and have a reaction to. And so now, step 3, of course, is you're going to show the parts, show the things that you've made online. And, what you're going to do is you're going to create GIFs or videos from these parts. And I'm a huge fan of GIFcam. You can use OBS or Game Bar, or if you're on a Mac, I don't know, there's like LiceCap, or I guess your QuickTime probably is able to record things off the bat. So you're probably all good there. So record things and record bugs too, especially if they're funny. We all, I'm sure, have seen some good bugs online, and they're just as effective at like telling people about your game. Almost more so sometimes if they're good bugs, which is kind of a funny thing. But and of course, create honest titles for your GIFs online. And of course, I'm going to do a tutorial on creating honest titles for your GIFs. A lot of people struggle with this. they make a game, they make their thing, and they're so tired, you know, and they just like, I got to post it online. What do I type here? You know, and some people get really complex, but I'm going to show you how this works. So roll up my sleeves. If you are silly, which I kind of am sometimes, you know, if I'll post something like lol potato go brrr, like, you're good. You post that online with a GIF, people will get it. They'll understand. If you're quite forward, maybe a little serious, you know, you're working on your game, you don't know what to say, just say how it is. I made a game where you play as a potato in World War I. Like, that is just as good. You know, and if you're sad, if you've been working late into the night and you're a bit sad, you know, I spent all night making this shitty potato of a game. Like, that's also good online. People, I don't know if you know this, there are other people online that are also sad. I know, it's true. And of course, if you're metal, you know, it's like, I spent all night making this fucking awesome potato game. That's also good. Do that. Some people like that. I'm personally not that confident, but I know some people are, and good for them. So Spud Wars, what I identified was it is a trench first-person shooter. You know, I wanted people to know that. You know, they know trenches, they know first-person shooter. Battlefield games have kind of touched on this more. There's been a few kind of Minecraft games that have done something like this. So my title was World War I, but you're a potato. And of course, use the emoji where you can, because as obnoxious as they are, they get people's attention. My second point was you are a potato. I wanted people to absolutely know this. You know, like, it's kind of dumb if you notice in this GIF, the potato even has a skeleton, which is kind of just a fun thing to kind of put in there. Third thing that I wanted people to know is hentai. It is hentai. I'm kidding. Again, there's too many of these jokes. I probably should have taken more out. But no, it's digging and voxels. I wanted them to know that you can kind of dig through the terrain, because I think that's a big part of the game. But also, you know, these were my points that I knew I wanted to make. But while I was kind of prototyping and coming up with potentially cool things, I found some bonus ones. One of the bonus ones is frustum culling. Like, we all know that, like, game engines most of the time do this by default. Like, they all do this, but like, it's so cool to see. Like, even just looking at it, like watching all the cubes turn on and off, like, it's kind of entrancing. So of course my title for that was Heckin' Cool Frustum Culling in Spud Wars, and I even spelled it wrong. But of course everybody online loves typos, so it's okay if you have typos in your headers. You'll just get more upvotes and more comments of people telling you have a typo in your header. So whatever. I also had tactical orders, which was really cool. I thought about, it'd be really great if you're playing and suddenly there's like an overview camera, you know, and like the level of effort it took for me to make a GIF of that is, you know, I just made a new camera and I just had it turn on, you know, and it's a very low amount of effort, and it looks like there's a lot more to it, but there's not. There's no real orders, you know. All I'm doing is moving the camera and clicking an arrow, you know. So in the last bonus that I got was jetpack, because why not, right? Like, spawn some particles, have your character jump high, done. That's 10 seconds, you know. So I also got that. And so a lot of people ask then, it's like, oh, where do you post your stuff? You know, here's a list of things in no specific order with the small hint. Reddit, you know, read the sub rules, make sure you're posting and you're not, you know, like getting anybody upset. Imager is just important to be a real human. When you post, type how you feel. You know, if you are being yourself online, you know, the internet has a way of knowing it, you know, for some strange reason. So just be yourself, and it makes it a lot easier and more fun. 9gag, you know, just be funny. I don't know. Discord, you know, if you have one or you're part of one, like definitely post there, you know, even just for feedback or updates or just to get some sort of a reaction. TikTok, you know, if you'd like to sell your soul and your data, it's a great avenue right now. And Face Blurk for all your friends, because people underestimate this actually. Some of us are quite cynical of Facebook, but you never know who of your friends needs to know that you're working on a game. You never know who they know. And sometimes all it is like when I started working on games, is I had a friend who I didn't even know was seeing my stuff at all. And he messaged me and was like, hey, I got somebody you should meet. I'm friends with journalists at, you know, so-and-so. And they like connect you. And he connected me to an awesome journalist. And it was like, I had no idea. I didn't even know I was showing up on his feed. He never liked anything of mine. He was that person from like high school that I've not talked to in years. I had like, I went to his profile. I would not even have recognized him. Like, yeah. So you never know who of your history is going to be entertained by the fact that you make games. So always post about it. And Twitter for meeting other developers. Twitter is basically just a big phone book. That's all it is. I've not gone viral at all on Twitter. That's one area where I've yet to understand it, but I use it all the time. And Steam, if you have other game pages or groups, like Steam community is growing. It's been growing super consistently. And on Google Maps. I'm just kidding. Don't post anything on Google Maps. You'll get banned probably, but it would be fun to see. So some other tips, be genuine. Again, it makes it easier when you're posting stuff online to just be yourself. Like I said, if you're silly, be silly. If you're angry, my gosh, be angry. I don't know if I've ever done an angry post before, but I think I could at this point. Also try different times, like if you're always posting your stuff in the morning, and it's not working, try something different. I had a really good streak where my best time to post was at 3 a.m. right after I had been like working all night on that thing. I would just post it online, and I had super consistent hits from there. For places, like 9gag Image or Twitter, like just whenever there's a flood of content, you can repost. Like if you post something and it gets no comments, no upvotes or anything, I mean, yeah, you can maybe take it down or put it back up. Like some people think this is like, I don't know, not being genuine. I think basically if nobody saw what you posted, I think you're good to post it again. Some people hide it from their profiles. I don't know. It's up to you for that. Make sure you interact with people when you can. If somebody asks a question, like answer it. Some people don't. I mean, I know sometimes I get this. I'll freeze up. Once you have something that gets a lot of attention, you're like, oh man, like 30 comments. I got to respond to all of those. And what you can do is sometimes you can wait, and people will answer each other's questions, which is really good. But just try to hop on there, try to respond, even if it's a few days later, a week later. Just respond. And don't worry so much. It's just the internet. It's nothing special. And don't spam. And here's the rule: if somebody accuses you of spamming, you probably are. That's what I have found to be true. People have accused me of that before, and I kind of sit there, I have a sip of coffee, look through all my recent posts, and I go, yeah, I am kind of spamming. I should probably stop that. So just know that if somebody says that, they're not trying to be mean to you. They're telling you the truth. And what you do is you collect feedback. You collect how many upvotes it gets, how many comments it gets, maybe good questions that you got, and collect it and take it all as genuine, no matter how much or how little there is. Lots of the time, I mean, it's hard. I really enjoy sharing things on Imager because of because of like the cap with your messages. Like they can only be so many characters, and that's great because you're able to get a reaction from somebody. Whereas on Reddit, you get like paragraphs of people critiquing your design, and they critique your models, and sometimes it's just too much, So just know the types of data you'll get from different places, and just treat it as genuine. Like I always try to remember that a human somewhere in the world sat down, typed on their phone or on their computer, and told you what they thought, and that's kind of cool, And there's haters are going to hate. Like you will find angry people on the internet. I'm sure this is no surprise to anyone. So just ignore them and move on. Don't worry about them. And if you can, try to create a new GIF from feedback that you get for like the next time you post. Like this is great for Reddit and sometimes on other platforms as well. Like, if somebody says like, oh, that's really cool. Like maybe, like maybe for Spud Wars, it would be like, like, oh, that jetpack, it's not very cool. Maybe you could go a lot higher. So then, of course, like, it takes you 2 seconds. Go back into your game, crank up whatever somebody said, and post a GIF a few days later. See what people say. You'll get a lot of goodwill from people because, one, people like to see something that they've already commented on again. And if somebody's, responding to their feedback, it just makes them feel good, and that's awesome. And of course, ask follow-up questions because people love to explain themselves. Just ask me, it's like, yeah, ask anybody on the internet a question and you will get like 3 paragraphs. It's like, this is a good thing. Overwhelming, but good. And of course, write these down somewhere. I personally use Notion. I love it. If nobody has used it before, it's like a Wikipedia for your brain. It's a mixture of Google Docs with a wiki. It's wonderful. I cannot recommend it enough. Anybody who knows me knows is probably tired of hearing me say this, but it's a wonderful tool. It has really changed the way that I organize my life, the way I approach projects. I highly encourage it. Sheets, Google Sheets, it's great. Excel. I mean, like, does anything else really matter? Are there more? I don't know. Like, write in your notebook, like just write something down that you can go back to and see, or share with somebody else. That's the great part about if you use something online, that you can send somebody a link like, hey, what do you think of this? And you can have a picture to your post and how much interaction it got. Like, that stuff's really great to get other people's opinions on. So here's the results from Spud Wars, from the ones that I had posted, because some I had not. Trench FPS, World War I, but you're a potato. Got 12 points, 2 comments. That's a thumbs down for me. That's not great. The next one, you are a potato, 26 points, 5 comments. Like, that's okay. Like, like maybe then I would make something that shows off something funny about being a potato more, and I did, NSFW potato gore, and marked it as like not appropriate. So people are like, oh, and they click it, and they're like, what? Like, this is it, and maybe that contributed a bit. But the last one was digging in voxels. I hadn't posted it yet, and I it's hard because I feel like it's just such a generic thing. We've all seen Minecraft. We've all seen like 10 different Minecraft clones. So I didn't want to post that one early. But my bonus ones, my Frustum Culling one, 380 points, 46 comments. Like, that did quite well. Like, that's not viral, but it's good. It's quite good. It's enough for you to kind of explore something along that route. It's a good arrow. It's just pointing in a direction. The next one was Tactical Orders. Hadn't posted that yet. But Jetpack, did okay. 116 points, 14 comments. Like, that's decent. Like, not amazing, but like certainly enough for me to like improve the jetpack or try out some other fun equipment. So step number 5 is you have to make a decision about your project at this point. You've made all these small little features. You've made GIFs of them. You've put them online. You've gotten some feedback, and now you need to decide whether you want to make this game, whether it's worth pursuing, and this is going to help you decide with confidence. Is the game worth working on? What did people think? Did anyone even see it? If nobody saw your posts online, that doesn't tell you anything other than maybe I shouldn't make this, but I would say post again. What do you think? Do you really like this project? Is this something that you really like, that you're attached to? What do you think people think? This is always a funny question. I really enjoy this one because it lets you kind of get into the mind of somebody else. Like, it's always great. If you could use your imagination, it's kind of crazy, but like when you're online and you see your post, scroll up a little bit, kind of close your eyes and pretend you're just going to see it for the first time. And you scroll down and you see it, and like try to pay attention to how you react. Is it boring? Does it look cool? Does it take too long to get to the good part? Like, try to get into the mind of what other people think. Also, estimate out how long this game will take you to make. Is this a 3-month game, a 6-month game, 12 months? Like, what does it look like? There's some games that if they were 3 months, I would make them. If they were 12 months, I would not make them, and then you decide. It's decision time. Do you make it? Do you not make it? Or do you shelf it? Do you put it on the shelf, which is totally fine. Some people think that's bad. I think some games need to sit, like games are kind of like wine or whiskey in a way. Like, they just need to sit a little bit sometimes. So for Spud Wars, my decision was none of the gameplay seems interesting enough to people. I mean, like, the one that got the most attention. All good? Not good? Oh no, I just saw you. I saw you guys up by there. I didn't know if like audio cut out or something. Sorry. Okay, cool. Oh, I've got a. Is it super small? Or yeah, let me see. Yeah, I've got some other windows up, but we can try that. Is that better? Okay. Yeah. So I mean, none of my gameplay gifts seemed interesting enough. The one that did the best was the one that was the culling. You know, it's like that's not even a feature. Like that's not even like part of the game, but it did the best. So it's like the core mechanics. Like I know they're fun. Like I can play it enough to know that it's fun. So I know there's some merit there, like, and maybe like the potato gag isn't funny enough, or like it needs something else. So ultimately, I'm gonna reskin it or shelf it. I'm gonna try it with a different fruit, a different vegetable, or something else, just something, because I know there's some mechanics there that are interesting, but the part that I thought was cool, the potato part, the trenches, people didn't seem that interested about. So that's where that one's at. Um, and that was the experiment complete. But wait, like it's like is there anything bad about doing marketing first development? Like, is there anything really bad about it? It's like, well, yeah, there's always a drawback. There's anybody I would not be up here and tell you this is the way to do it without saying that there is something good and bad about it. So I will tell you, it is like you can find out really quickly that all your ideas are bad or they are good. Like you can find out quickly. Like this is a good thing. I got disappointed really early on when I did this because you know people didn't like a lot of my early ideas, which to be fair, they weren't very good. But it took a lot of people on the internet yelling at me for me to understand that. It also puts a project out in the public. Like for some people, this is motivating. I have found it to be more motivating than detracting. Some people have the mentality that it's like, oh, if I put it out there, someone's going to steal it. They're going to take it and they're going to do this. And it's like, they're going to do that regardless of, what? It's like, have you looked at anybody who's done a popular game? Like they are the most ripped off thing. Like that is still a good scenario for you to make a game that does well online. It's going to get ripped off. If people are ripping off your game, you're doing something right. And to think that they might steal your sales, like that's questionable. I mean, mobile games are different because you're not trying to get people's money, you're just trying to get their attention. So that's different. But most of the time it's motivating. You'll feel more motivated to work on something if people are looking at it. It might alter your vision of the game for better or worse. I mean, we all know when you have an early idea, and it's like you always pick your friends who you talk to about the game. And we always have that one friend, and sometimes I'm that friend to people. They say, oh, I have an idea, and I'll be like, oh, did you think of this? How about that? How about this? How about that? And they're like, enough, no more. Like don't talk. And that's hard because on the internet people are going to tell you you could do this and that, and sometimes you lose your vision for it. And that's okay. You just have to accept it. And social media takes time. But some of my best friends I've met on the internet. And I think ultimately, like, that's a good thing. It does take time though. So with smaller games though, when you post them, mainly these ones with like one core mechanic, like we've all seen these GIFs or footage that blow up. It's like one really cool thing. Got one main problem though. You know what it is? This is a hint. Nobody has any idea. It's not hentai. If somebody said that, it's not. It's not. The yeah, yeah. I will turn you guys off. Yeah. There we go. All right. So it's a single hot mechanic. That's always the problem. Lots of the time when you have a good idea and you do a part of it and you put it online, it's a single hot mechanic, and it's sometimes hard to do anything else with it. So it's the whole showing something too soon. This is probably the biggest problem I've seen from sharing things online. Of course, like what would this be without like a fake pop-up ad? Of course. This is what happens when I put presentations together at 3 a.m. I hope you appreciate them. So to wrap it up, marketing first, development recap. It's going to help you validate your concept, whether it's good or bad. You will find out very quickly. It helps you find your audience, real humans who look at your game, who tell their friends about your game, who buy your game. It keeps you flexible. That's the thing, and learning. You're going to be able to experiment with things that you want to, and it stops you from, what did I write here? stop you from wasting your time. Don't waste your time. Again, don't waste your time. Life is so precious, don't spend your life working on bad ideas. Work on good ideas, spend your time with good people. Ideas are just like people. We all have those friends that we really like. We like them and you want to hang out with them. Ideas are the same way. Don't hang out with bad ideas. And it's all about finding a reason to go that way. And oftentimes, knowing that somebody would want to buy the thing that you're making, that's a good enough reason. Now I'm going to do a short segue, very small segue. And I'm going to talk about the Riga IFF hackathon. My friend Edgar is here. I'm just going to do a small shout out to him with this, but this is coming up this weekend. It's loosely geared around XR for education and like so much more. It's a place for people in tech and art to collaborate. I highly recommend it. The lectures are on Friday, so, oh my gosh, that's in like 2 days. Wow, that's fast. So lectures are on Friday. The hackathon, is from Saturday to Sunday. Again, like you can meet some really cool people. They have mentors there. It's well worth your time. And of course, there's presentations and prizes, because what would a hackathon be without somebody winning a prize? So highly recommend this. There's the website you can go to. Edgar can speak much more on this if you'd like. And that's my little shout out. That's my ad. That's my ad for the presentation. And of course, Leos Valdez, thank you for having me here. Feel free to give me a shout on any of these places online. And I try to get back to people as soon as I can, and I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Thanks, Craig, for the really good and motivational presentation. And we have some questions. So the first question, do you hear me, Craig?
Yeah.
So the first question is, what is not like good to share online? Can you maybe name some bad examples?
Ooh, what is not good to share online? Okay, yeah. 15-minute videos of your game, like you playing a whole demo, or like things that are too long. Like whatever the cool part is, you need to show it within a second. So it's not good to show things that are long. It's not good to show things that are like, they don't have like a point to them. Like make sure everything you show has a reason, something you're trying to get a reaction for or feedback from. Like how many, it's kind of like when we do I'm sure everybody here has done tutorials. It's like when you watch a tutorial and the first 10 minutes is them like setting things up, like opening up the project, like it's like, no, like don't waste people's time. So that's probably the biggest one. Other bad examples are, don't share. If you have this one's maybe obvious, but I don't know who's had a publisher here before, but like don't share your feelings about your publisher if you have one. I've never had a publisher, but I've seen a lot of my friends get in trouble for that. They try to be very like vague about it. Just don't do it. Don't be rude to people online. It's not worth it. But yeah, and any other specifics too, I'm happy to answer about like not sharing. But those are probably the big ones.
Uh, Another question is, which social networks do you focus on? Like, which social networks do you spend most time on?
Yeah. The main ones that I spend the most time on are certainly Reddit, Imager, and Twitter. Those are kind of the big three for me. I've had the most interaction. I think like combined, even just from Imager, I think I've had over 5 million impressions, and it's like it's just a good way to get like a person's opinion on something. So that's, and you may find that you have great success somewhere else. I know some people have awesome luck on Twitter, and maybe because they write funnier than I do, maybe it's a certain way of thinking, yeah, those are my big ones. But Reddit is good, but of course, I'm sure everybody knows here it's time suck. It will eat away an hour or two of your day sometimes. So I try not to let that happen.
So another interesting question is, what do you think about email newsletters? Have you had experience with that, like email marketing?
Email marketing, yeah. I mean, email marketing, I have done it. We use it a lot for my wife's business. She sells digital products online. She doesn't sell games. She sells curriculum. We've had a lot of really good results with it. It is really effective if you can do it. The hard part about games is that like everybody expects something for free. Like, oh, do you have a free demo? Can I get a free key? Like, which to be fair, if anybody wants a free key for any of my games, let me know. I'm happy to give you one. But like, it's like, like, hey, I've got 12 subscribers on YouTube. Do you have a demo I can play? It's like, no, no, I don't, but email marketing is great because you can really speak to individual people. Like what I've done before recently, and I had really, really good results from it, is basically posting gifts like this. And it's like, hey, if you want access to the free alpha, sign up here. That's it. Like the promise that you will give somebody something for free is enough for them to give you their email. So yeah, if you can do that, go for it. And there's for what it's worth, there's some interesting new services like for websites that are great for this now too. I don't know if anybody has heard of Manakeep, Manakeep. They started up, I think, recently. And if you're trying out a lot of different game ideas, they're a really good one to use because they have like, it's like it lets you give each of your games a separate domain for like $5. It's dirt cheap. Highly recommend it. So.
Yep. So you said marketing first, but definitely you have to spend some time before marketing to actually go to the marketing. So how much time do you invest before actually starting the marketing, like making the game or faking the gameplay video or stuff? And how much time do you suggest doing that?
Right. Well, this is also dependent on skill and kind of what people's strengths are. So for me personally, like, lots of my time that I don't really, it's hard to track up front is the concept, the idea. I think we all have ideas, and we write them down and we put them on paper. People don't realize that kind of takes the most time, so if you have a bank of ideas, a database of good ideas that you want to try out, that will hopefully alleviate lots of this. Because usually for me, like this, Spud Wars was like, I mean, here, let me go back to like, what is like my, like way in the beginning, like, oh yeah, look at that, so fast. Where's my prototypes? Wait for it. Okay, so just so I can give like some really good, like straightforward stuff on this. Okay, so all right, so Spud Wars, the one I showed you with the potato, that took 4 days total before I was posting. Like that's the amount of work, and that was, of course, some days were like 2 hours, some days were like 10. But that was usually I try to spend absolutely less than a week, 100% less than a week. If you're spending more than a week just to get these gifts to then show off, you're either trying to build something too much, like you're trying to build a demo. And what you're not trying to do is you're not trying to build a demo for this. What you're trying to build is just the mechanic, just enough to take a GIF of the mechanic, and that's it. So here's a good example, like Sporio right here. This one was a week and a half. Heroes of Fuji, this was half a day. Cafe Craze was a week and a half. Lucky One was 2 weeks. That one was an early concept though. Turtle Knights was 2 days. Finding Home is 3 days. Bounce 5. This was a full game. I did not do this with Bounce 5, and I wish I would have, because I would not have made it. It looks fun, it looks polished, but it was like, it bombed. But then again, I have strong feelings against mobile in general. So Swatter game, this was like half a day. Fetch Dog Fetch, I didn't do this for because it was too early, but would not have made that game. Hacker Defense, I love that game. That was maybe 3 days, 4 days. Warcube was probably longer. That was probably like 3 weeks, because I was just doing this for marketing. I didn't even know what the game was. Trench Tactics, this was another type of Spud Wars game. This was maybe a day. Traffic Gnomes, 2 days. Junk Belt, so in general, it's less than a week, but of course it's as fast as you can be, right? if you can make it fast by getting some assets online, spend the $5 to buy whatever it is to do the thing, 10 times as fast. It's so worth it. Nobody cares that you made your own stuff 100%. Like, it's, I don't know, I don't think that's something good to be precious about, at least in this day and age. So question, it's
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, not then. Thanks, Craig, for the good and really, I would say, awesome presentation and really helpful for lots of developers. And yeah, thanks to everybody who
Oh,
came.
yeah.
Yeah.
Protoms. Yeah. Again, thank you for having me. And anybody, feel free to chat me, message me. More than happy to help out with any ideas or questions. So, yeah.
Yep.
Thank you again.
Thank you. So
Awesome.
a little bit, a little update. We are having Latvian Game Awards 2019 on the 22nd of October. We'll also tell some facts about the Latvian industry in 2019. So it will be fully online. So please join. And thanks everybody for coming to this meetup, and see you in Game Dev Meetup 90. Bye.